Hello everyone and welcome to Cinderful Gaming. I hope you're all doing well, I hope you're all staying safe, and most of all, I hope you're all fighting that war against the Grey. Today's video we're going to talk getting started with Path to Glory for Warhammer Age of Sigmar, and in today's video we're going to take a look at the cities of Sigmar and the Greywater Fastness sub-faction in particular. In this video, we'll talk about what exactly we get with a Greywater Fastness sub-faction army for the Cities of Sigmar, what it sort of does and what extra things we get on the tabletop, and then we'll take you through the 5 major steps for creating a Path to Glory roster, ready for some games of Path to Glory in Warhammer Age of Sigmar narrative play. And then we'll look at some units you should start off with, some units you can then grab later, and finally finish off the video with a little 600 point Vanguard size sample army list for you to use as some inspiration to create your own list. Now, with that said, what exactly do we get? First of all, we are a Cities of Sigmar army, and we get all the cool rules that come alongside with that. We're going to get the general, and he's going to have his adjutant, who's another character that can go near him. As long as they're together, the adjutant will generate a command point at the top of each turn on a 4+, and the general will also get to pick an honoured retinue on which he can pass off wounds and mortal wounds to as a bodyguard rule. On top of that, we'll get access to having some Stormcast Eternal models in the army thanks to the Stormkeep rule, allowing us to have 1 in 4 of our units in our army as a Stormcast Coalition unit. Now, we are playing in Greywater Fastness, and this is the Artillery sub-faction. So, first of all, we've got some cool benefits to our artillery, where we increase the range characteristic of all missile weapons used by artillery in our army by 3 inch. In addition, if we're fighting in a pitched battle at all, we can add an additional Iron World Arsenal artillery unit to our army. We then have some ranged unit benefits across the army in Salvo Fire, which is a command ability we get to use where we pick a friendly Freeguild handgunner or Iron Drake unit, hold within 12 inch of a friendly Greywater Fastness hero, and we add 1 to hit rolls from that unit made until the end of that phase. So this is pretty cool. Like, +1 to hit is nothing too fantastic. I mean, we could always use auto attack, but what this allows us to do is get 2 +1s to hit out there on different units, which is really nice. So we can use all that attack and salvo fire. On top of that, we're going to get an extra prayer that our priest can use in addition to any other prayers, which is cast on a 1+ and can only be cast by a Rune Lord. Cast on a 2-up, only fails on a 1, and if the prayer is answered until your next hero phase, you get +1 to hit on the missile weapons for a War Machine unit. So some nice solid benefits for the army. Now, the cool thing about Greywater Fastness is that they are also from the realm of Go Around, the realm of life, but they are an army that's sort of at odds with the very realm that it's in. But looking at how we can create a Path to Glory roster, first of all, we have to choose our faction and choose your realm. When you choose a faction in this, you must pick a sub-faction to begin with. You cannot change your sub-faction throughout the course of your Path to Glory campaign. So, of course, we're going to pick Greywater Fastness, and like many of the different cities inside the Cities of Sigmar Battlezone, the realm we are from is set and chosen for us, and that is Go Around, the realm of life. Like I said, this is like an industrial city in the middle of the realm of life. It's sort of at odds with the very realm it's in, which makes for some really cool narrative opportunities. Now, step 2 is choose your starting size and starting territories. For the purpose of this, we're going to look at a Vanguard game, as this is the easiest and smallest points level to get into Path to Glory with. We've got a 6 unit limit, and we have 600 points to spend. We get 1 starting territory, and we start with 5 glory points as well. Now, that starting territory I recommend for a Greywater Fastness is, of course, Forgotten Mine. This will give us access to another artillery option, which, you know, is sort of what we're wanting to do if we're playing Greywater Fastness. Step 3 is filling out the order of battle. This is actually where you start populating your roster with models. Now, there are some restrictions, such as the maximum number of units you see in your starting size, which is 6, as we've said, and then you also can have a maximum of 3 heroes in your force, and also only 1 of each monster, war machine, wizard, priest, reinforced unit, and allied units. Now, of course, thanks to our Forgotten Mine, we are going to get an extra war machine, though this isn't going to be too much of an issue in your first sort of roster. Step 4 is picking out core enhancements. Now, these are the generic sort of enhancements you would pick for a match play game. This is your first artifact, your first command trait, your first spell on all your wizards, your first prayer, all that sort of stuff you would normally pick without getting any bonuses. They are core enhancements. And step 5, picking your first quest. And I think this is a cool one for just what Greywater Fastness is all about, technological advancement. I think Search for the Artifact is a great one. You get to pick 1 artifact of power that your faction has access to that's not already on your Path to Glory roster. You write it down, and that's the quest reward for this quest. At the end of each Path to Glory battle, you'll add 1 quest point to the progress section of your quest log for each friendly unit whole within your opponent's territory, and you can also spend a glory point at the end of each Path to Glory battle to gain an additional quest point. Once you've gained 3 or more quest points, you complete this quest, and the artifact of power that you chose at the beginning of this goes into your vault. So some nice solid thing. I think it's just a fantastic narrative option for Greywater. But where can we go to have a look at units to start with? Well, first of all, I'm going to recommend picking up a Rune Lord. He's the unit that gets all the benefits, or rather gets to use that extra prayer. So I just think he's a really, really solid unit to start off our force with for me. He's got some really cool abilities as well. The Rune Lord has his own couple of prayers on his War Scroll. Plus, he's going to get the Rune Lore from Greywater Fastness, and then he's still going to pick a generic one on top. So he's going to get access to something like Curse as well. So he's going to have 4 options for prayers. Really, really solid priest option. Now, Rune Lore, he casts both of these on a 2. He can either choose to give a 6-up ward to one of his units, or indeed improve the rend characteristic of them by 1. It's this improving rend that I like him, especially when you pair him with Iron Drakes. Iron Drakes for me are pretty decent. The Drake guns are 3/3s, rend 1, damage 1, and they add 1 to their attacks characteristic if there are no enemy units within 3 inches of them and they've not moved. So 2 attacks, and then on the Rune Lord, and all of a sudden you're rend 2. They are pretty expensive wise compared to the other option that you get benefits for, which is the free good handgunners. These guys are still rend 1, damage 1. They don't hit as well, and they don't have as good a defensive options as well. However, they are much, much cheaper at 105 points compared to 170. We then start looking at the artillery we have access to for the army, and I think the Hellblaster volley gun is the great one to go with for the get-go. It's generally a little bit more consistent than the Hellstrom rocket battery, which we'll talk about in just a second. Hellblaster volley gun, you decide whether you're shooting 1, 2, or 3 decks, and you roll a number of d6 equal to the amount of decks. However, if you ever roll a double, this model cannot shoot and instead suffers a mortal wound. So you've got to sort of take that gamble. However many decks you choose, you roll a d6, and that's how many shots. So it could be d6, 2d6, or 3d6 shots. 4s and 3s, rend 1, damage 1. Those are pretty nice stuff. And you can re-roll any dice when rolling to determine the attack characteristic of this model if you've got an Ironworld Arsenal Engineer nearby. Point blank rule as well, add 1 to the hit rolls if an enemy is within 12 inches of it as well. Looking at other units, and especially our other major artillery piece, the Hellstrom rocket battery, it's got the rocket salvo rule where it adds 1 to hit rolls for attacks made by this model if all the attacks are made on the same enemy unit, and the calculated trajectory allows reroll to hits of 1 for attacks made with this Hellstrom rocket salvo if you've got a friendly Ironworld Arsenal Engineer nearby. 3 attacks, 5s to hit is the big downside, though 4s if you are going to shoot at the same target. Rend 2, damage D3. Can be pretty impressive if it can get off and hit a proper target. Looking at some other unique sort of things, we've got the Gyrocopter as another cool piece of Ironworld Arsenal technology. Steam gun gets a shot in at every model within its 8-inch range at 3s and 4s, rend 1, damage 1. And then you've got the bombs as well, where it can do a once per game mortal wound passover. The Cogsmith for me is one of the great pieces you generally want to add to the army eventually. He's really good when you start adding in his abilities. He's an engineer, so he works really well when getting all those extra rules for those 2 different Ironworld Arsenal war machines we've talked about. And finally, we've got a Lord Ordinator as well as the other great piece. For me, he's just a really, really solid option for your Ironworld Arsenal army, thanks to some cool rules he has. His Arcane Engineer means his Order War Machines get +1 to hit just from being around him, which is really, really nice. And he's also a pretty survivable hero option for a Ironworld Arsenal Cities army. And so here we have a little sample army list put together for you to show a Greywater Fastness army. We've gone for 7 ahead. This is killing all our opponents' heroes. You got all the shooting. There's every potential you can do it. And then obviously from Gairan, and the Triumph we've gone for is inspired for that +1 to wound. Now Rune Lord is going to be our general, and he's going to have the command trait Drill Master, which gives the ability of reroll hit rolls of 1 for friendly missile weapons made by Greywater Fastness units holding within 12 inches of the general while they're 3 inches or more away from enemy units. He's then also gone for the Universal Prayer Scripture with Curse, giving him some really good utility on all the different prayers he can do. Now, Cogsmith is going to be our second hero and is going to have the Runic Munitions as our artifact, putting +1 damage on his D3 attack gun. So, you can potentially do some cool shooting damage. And then he's going to be our General's Adjutant. Battle line wise, we've gone for a unit of Iron Drakes that are going to be on a retinue for our general, and then we've got a Gyrocopter and a Hell Blaster volley gun in there for good measure. Everything wrapped up in a little battle regiment. 600 points under is 60 points under that limit, so this means we've got a good chance we're going to get that triumph. 31 wounds is pretty light on wounds, but hopefully the shooting can make the difference for the army. Well, that's it for the video. We hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe to the channel. If you'd like to come chat more with me and other members of our little fine community here at Sinful Gaming, you can do so by following the link in the video's description to our Discord server. Lastly, if you'd like to help support the channel more, you can do so by following the links to either our Patreon or YouTube members down in the description of the video. It goes a massive way to helping the channel continue to produce the content that it does. We'd like to give a special shout out to all our patrons and YouTube members, so a special thank you to our Patreons: Christian Weir, James Soren, Greenskins Gaming, AJC, Kenny Lowell, Outer and Shop First, Andrew Bowen, Nathan Fee, The Rising Ape, Cure Dynamic, Agu, Anthony B, Anton Nilsson, JJ Austrian, Average Wargamer, Domir, Mark Harvey, James Cater, and Samuel. And a shout out to our YouTube members: Green Roots Gaming, Kenton Young, Chris Wallace, Ronya, Vinny, Lochloric, The Johnny84, David Ellsworth, Revenar, Wolfric Nick, Broken Chef, Sean Scott, and Ariana Edwards. Finally, a last special shout out to Lady Witchfox Art, who does all the amazing artwork for the channel that you see pictured here, and to Xmorphic, who does all the amazing background work on our Discord server for us. Thank you both, you do amazing work. That's it though. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. Once again, stay safe, stay well, and most of all, keep fighting that war against the Grey. Ciao for now.